You're gonna pay for all the Jedi that you killed today, Dooku.
We'll take them together. You're going slowly on the left.
Taking it now!
Surely you can do better.
I'm starting to reach the final phase of covering every live-action lightsaber duel in the Star Wars series as of the time of this writing. I've covered my favourites, but what's left? Something's got to come last, even if the entry is an admirable effort. But before I make a video on the worst lightsaber duel, what's the battle I don't think gets a fair shake? What's the dark horse of the franchise? The prequel trilogy has by far the most duels and the most varied key components, featuring a whole host of different Jedi and Sith with all kinds of different lightsaber specialisations across a range of varied locales. I've of course already covered the main duel of episode 1, which is still fantastic and marked a sharp change in direction to a more frenzied, energetic kind of lightsaber fight. That's picked up again in Attack of the Clones, although the real lightsaber highlights of that movie can be found in the non-saber-to-saber combat. Seeing Obi Wan Kenobi go up against Jango Fett, or Fett versus Windu, or just seeing an army of Jedi cut through a barrage of battle droids is where the meat of the action lies.
This party's over.
That being said, the late great Christopher Lee's Count Dooku was an inspired addition to the series. His articulate, seemingly more reasonable and less obviously evil from a mile away persona brought some much needed eloquence to the dark side, and this was reflected in the duel with Obi Wan and Anakin at the end of the movie. This duel often comes down on the low side of ranking tier lists, and I've seen numerous comments explaining that it's underwhelming. Ever since I saw this fight in 2002, from conversation with friends to online consensus, it seems the Duel of Geonosis is overlooked. It would have been nigh on impossible to top the ridiculously epic Duel of the Fates. Depending on who you ask, it still is, so Lucas just didn't try to. Just about everything that worked about the final battle of the Phantom Menace is inverted here, and whilst no, it would be silly to even contemplate this duel standing up to the other famous efforts across the saga, it's far better than what the general consensus would have you believe. This duel tries new things and highlights Lucas' strengths as a director, managing to convey characterisation and motivation in actions far better than he does with his oft-ridiculed dialogue. And of course, who can forget the lightsaber-wielding debut of a certain little green friend? Could the Duel of Geonosis be the most underrated Star Wars lightsaber battle?
Brave of you, boy, but I would have thought you had learned your lesson.
Anakin and Obi-Wan chased down Dooku and just about managed to get into his lair before being blasted into oblivion. Those poor clones. Right off the bat, I've got to say I dig the decision to give Anakin a green lightsaber in this finale. His Jedi days are synonymous with that trademark glowing blue. It's a nice novelty to see him paired with a different colour. It also provides a neat little parallel in his future son's journey to becoming a fully fledged Jedi Knight. For Luke, the green symbolises that he has earned an impressive level of proficiency. For Anakin, the green saber represents a time where he is inexperienced, emotional, and ineffective.
You're gonna pay for all the Jedi that you killed today, Dooku.
I think Anakin believes this is what he's fighting for, and indeed he does care about his fallen fellow Jedi, but much of his rage in this moment is fueled by losing his mother, and by potentially losing Padme. Across the film, Anakin's rage and power has been building, punctuated by his revenge upon the Tusken Raiders for the murder of his mother in the movie's best scene. So too has his love for Padme blossomed, but it has given way to a whole host of other emotions troublesome for any Jedi. He wants what he cannot have, a secret he cannot possibly keep forever. He's frustrated that he seemingly cannot bring these things under his control. Now Padme's fate is up in the air, he does not know whether she is alive or dead, safe or captured, and all of that mystery and tension manifests against Dooku.
Anakin, no! No!
Right here, I can show you this clip out of context and you totally get the gist of Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship. It's told in the action of the scene. Contrast this with the beginning of the Duel of the Fates. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi move on Maul as one, they're a perfect team. Neither tries to take centre stage, they take on their Sith aggressor at the same time, and it is their opponent that splits them up to win. In Clones, Dooku only has to sit back and watch as the student tries to play master. We know that Anakin is short-tempered, that he fails to listen, and that the communication and honesty between the two is rocky. We get that in the action without half the crummy dialogue from the rest of the movie.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous.
He's holding me back!
It's a pity Lucas didn't define their clones' relationship in moments like this more. He shows a much better grasp of this in Revenge, the dynamic defined before the pair even touch boots on the ground. Anakin still has a tendency to leap without looking, sure, but it's guided by a love and need to protect his mentor.
Get out of here! There's nothing more you can do!
I'm not leaving without you, Master.
Equally, Obi appears to have a better understanding of his old student, knowing Anakin is only trying to help. How far they've come since the start of the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan is already a man down. Taking on the mighty Count Dooku would have been a tough job with 2 Jedi, but now the odds are stacked against him twofold. Does that stop Kenobi? Of course not.
As you see, my Jedi powers are far beyond yours. Now, back down.
I don't think so.
I've always loved Kenobi for the same reason I like Cap. He's not as weak as a Hawkeye, but he's not as powerful as a Thor. He's an accomplished Jedi Master and certainly powerful, but his potential pales in comparison to Jedi like Yoda, Mace Windu, and of course, the Chosen One. Like Cap, he constantly throws himself into situations where the odds are against him, he's outmatched or outnumbered, sometimes both, and yet he never lets it stop him dropping a quip and kicking some arse. Oftentimes it is Kenobi's level head and ingenuity that win the day. He's one of the most effective and consistent victors in Jedi history. Yet he's not overpowered or lucky.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Still, even Cap loses a fistfight every once in a while. Anakin Skywalker is back, baby. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a minute. Akimbo lightsabers. Are you kidding me? At one point in the development of this duel, Dooku was actually set to wield 2 lightsabers in his battle against... Man, I wish some proper footage of this existed. Just to see it, you know? Dooku wielding 2 lightsabers. Just saying it is making me pee a little. Whilst this would have been very cool to see, I think it works better that Anakin is the one to do it in the scene. It makes sense that he would try to step up the game in the fight against Dooku, not to mention it once again signifies his relationship with Obi-Wan. In spite of being wounded on the ground, Obi-Wan can still lend a helping hand. When the pair work together, it's a thing of beauty. Also, Dooku is the Goliath to Anakin's David here. He shouldn't need 2 lightsabers, he's doing mighty fine with just the one. Dooku's elegant and precise saber strikes, usually performed one-handed, sells the audience on his master status. The Jedi are quick, erratic, guttural. Dooku treats it like a training session.
Master Kenobi, you disappoint me.
I got some flack from you guys last year for criticising the frequent lightsaber redesigns throughout the series, a move I felt was gimmicky and driven by the commercial nature of the property, rather than to necessarily fulfil the story.
But Darth Maul was the first to unleash a different kind of saber on the big screen. Unlike his successors, who had increasingly nonsensical gimmicks, this new type of lightsaber had a purpose, allowing us to feasibly see how Maul could take on 2 Jedi at once. I like the curved hilt design of Dooku's blade and Kylo Ren's cross-saber, but honestly, I find them a bit unnecessary. It comes off like every time the creative team have come up with a new Sith, there's a brainstorm where they try and work out how many hilts and blades they can stick on one dickhead. I mean, come on guys.
Well, that's still true, but in the case of Dooku, I must say, it should be noted that the decision was spearheaded by Lee himself based on initial concept art. He suggested the curved hilt to reflect his sword fighting experience, but also learnt a whole host of new styles. At 79, Christopher Lee, ladies and gentlemen. The pace of this fight is really dictated by Christopher Lee's capabilities at the time. Ray Park was a young man and a skilled martial artist and acrobat at the time of filming The Phantom Menace. He was actually cast from the test footage that featured him as Nick Gillard's stunt performer alongside McGregor. The Maul role was directly driven by physicality. Dooku only truly took shape after Christopher Lee was cast, no doubt due to his reputation as a Hammer horror staple.
I don't do all that much of it. I physically can't. My hands and my arms will move very fast, my legs won't, not anymore. Most of it is done by my stunt double, who is absolutely superb.
It was clear from the start that his duels wouldn't be anything like the previous effort, out of necessity. Like, come on. The guy was 79 at the time. Can you imagine looking this trim at 79? Hell, why can't I look this awesome now? And even at that, I think it's great that Lucas and the team tried to give Dooku some athletic prowess using a combination of stunt performers and CGI. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say some of it isn't pretty wonky in the final cut. They don't quite composite all the different performances into one cohesive Dooku. Yep, that's clearly not Christopher Lee, but I admire the challenges they took on to try and get this to work. In a time where we have our Gemini Mans and babyface Hank Pyms, you can literally take down the playing age of your lead by decades. Compositing Christopher Lee's face with the body of stunt performer Kyle Rowling wouldn't be quite the gargantuan task it might have been then. Dooku is a product of the time, and I wouldn't change a thing because it meant we got this character with all of Christopher Lee's wonderful touches. Maul is silent for the entirety of his fight, but Dooku is bolstered by the rich, sophisticated tones of Lee.
Yoda holds you in such high esteem. Surely you can do better.
And honestly, I like the speed at which this duel plays out. Obi Wan isn't fueled by the need to avenge his master's death, he's taking more time between blows, sizing up his opponent from a more defensive position. Anakin suitably shifts things up a notch, but even that is met with a cooler, more moody final turn in the shadows. Dooku and Anakin, lit only by the awesome glow of their own sabres, are two fantastic images. Because Lucas relies on the cuts rather than CGI to composite Lee and Rowling, the result is far more convincing. Once again, character is revealed. Anakin has tempered his emotions, tapping back into his Jedi nature. He's tactically playing this more like Obi Wan. The only drawback to this bit is that it does look like the actors are just spinning their sabres in places. The fight continues and ramps up in energy, but Dooku makes short work of the would-be Vader. Okay, so this does seem very blockable. Anakin just kind of stands there and waits for Dooku to spin around on the spot and cut his guard down. The original moment this plays credence to was a lot faster and more intense. But still, after a trilogy with not a single lightsaber lopped off appendage in any duel, you yearn for something as savage as this. Dismemberment is a key part of Star Wars action after all. I still remember seeing this as a kid and being horrified. Dooku might make efforts to spare his opponents, but he doesn't play either. This is an important moment for Anakin too, and the first time he has ever really failed a physical test on screen. He won the Boonta Eve and destroyed the droid ship by the end of Menace, but here he's de-limbed and sent flying across the room. He needs to eat some humble pie if he's going to begin the tough journey from Padawan to Knight. This shot is also key. Dooku is exhausted. After all that boasting to Obi Wan Kenobi, it was the Padawan that gave him a run for his money. This is an omen of things to come. The final decision to spare Anakin and Obi Wan indicates he still has that Jedi heart lingering inside him. Also poignant that Count Dooku avoids another savage execution like that of his beloved apprentice. This duel works as a sort of second act for Dooku in the prequel trilogy. If the first is the murder of Qui-Gon, an event that drives him away from the Order, the second, Dooku's mercy, he's turned to the Sith but some of the Jedi still lingers within him. The third is Dooku's bloodthirsty downfall.
I've been looking forward to this.
When Dooku is comfortably more powerful than Skywalker, he spares them both. When Skywalker has proven his potential to become the most powerful Force sensitive in the galaxy, Dooku's insecurity fuels his arrogance and anger.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
Dooku is notably more aggressive and enthusiastic in his second bout against his Sith successor, probably because he knew that the day would come where Skywalker would best him. So yeah, I can see why this fight is disappointing. It's over relatively quickly, and after 3 years of lying in wait for another Duel of the Fates, it's a sore spot to be denied it. But in concept, it's not trying to give the audience the same visceral thrills. The Duel of the Fates is Maul's first true test. He's a hungry young Sith, eager to make his mark. Similarly, Obi Wan must prove his mettle and show he's more than just your average Padawan. Our antagonist in this fight is at the end of his career, not the beginning. He's done this rodeo 1,000 times already. He knows all the ticks, all the tricks, and he knows how to get things over and done with. In the second act of a trilogy, we want to see how heroes get messed up a little. They need to lose to see what they must overcome. This fight is really no different to the fight at the end of Empire. Luke spends most of his time getting his arse handed to him in that one too. Of course, this fight doesn't have anywhere near the emotional punch to make it so memorable, but seriously, how many lightsaber duels do? Ending the fight with the greatest twist in cinema history is a tough act to follow in the second film of your next trilogy. So instead of I Am Your Father, what do we get for pudding in Attack of the Clones? Ooh, so this minty aero Count Chocula flavoured dessert had been a long time coming, and we get to see Yoda wield a lightsaber, and 2002 technical restraints aside, it's a great fight. I'll happily defend this. Like, yeah, it's goofy. You know what else is goofy? Yoda in general. His appearance has always been incongruent to his persona as a wise and powerful Jedi Master. People often complain about it because it seemingly makes no sense that he could hop around and then use a walking stick to hobble around moments later, but I feel like that's exactly the point. It's no coincidence that the same entry in the franchise introduced the late great Christopher Lee as a highly capable combatant and force wielder. I'm not sure if this is touched upon in any wider canon, you'll have to let me know, but I always assumed that as your body gets older and more decrepit, your force abilities only continue to grow unhampered by physical limitations. That's why everyone who's old is infinitely more powerful. They've had more time to get experience in the force. Yoda and Count Dooku aren't going to run a marathon, but they've honed their connection to the force so well that they can channel it to perform incredible feats of endurance and agility, in spite of their age. Hence, one moment the cane, the next. And it's because of this that I would love to see old Kenobi face Dooku, just to see how that kind of matchup would go. It took months to pull this off, and George Lucas was very worried. To be very honest with you, I was scared to death of this sequence and how we were going to pull this off. This was the biggest risk in the whole movie. Could I make this realistic enough to make it believable, or would it be this ludicrous joke?
It's going to be pretty important that he move fast enough to where we can barely see him, because then it'll all be credible. Once you start to actually see what he's doing, it's going to start getting a little funky, I think.
And it has to be handled well, because it does have the potential of being unintentionally funny.
It's easy to see why. Even the team at ILM were worried by the first draft of the shooting script, which saw Yoda drawing his blade as soon as he entered the hangar. Animation director Rob Coleman stated it took months of talking with George in an effort to make it believable. We felt if we got into the fight too quickly, the audience would not be able to travel that distance from Yoda being an 800-year-old character to be able to go around with such speed and be nimble. The solution was to create what the team dubbed the Wizard's Battle, a stunning VFX display of force powers that would bridge the gap between the hobbling Yoda we know and love to the acrobatic duelist we were about to discover. The sound design is wicked too. I wish we'd gotten more of this not only in the prequels but in the entire saga. Older master characters strong with the Force would surely rely more and more upon their mastery of telekinesis and offensive strikes like lightning.
But well you have, my old Padawan.
This is just the beginning.
The pair duel to a stalemate, and Dooku wagers Obi and Annie's lives to get Yoda off his tail. Yoda, of course, saves the pair. I love the way the animators gave him this pleased little expression as he lets the steel go. Aww, tuck it up baby Yoda energy. All in all, I think Lucas and the team, from the stunt performers to ILM and more, should be proud of the work that was accomplished here, even if some of it doesn't quite stick the landing.
I've probably done more sword fights on celluloid than any actor in history, I should think, and I've got the scars to prove it. This fight is greater than anything I've ever been involved in.
Sure, there's cooler battles out there, but this one features some defining moments for all the key characters and sets the stage for so much more. If you want to see an explosive duel between two Force Masters, lightning clashing with sabres, akimbo sabres, and the awesome sinister tones of Christopher Lee, not to mention witness the discovery that Frank Oz is a badass,
The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun. The Clone War has.
then this duel is for you. I'm thankful we got Count Dooku, and I think his history of being in the Jedi Order makes for a very engrossing character, part of which I'm going to detail in next week's video.
The Star Wars tracks in this video were very kindly provided by Samuel Kim Music. You can check out some of his awesome tracks over at his channel, the details of which are in the description below.
Hi guys, Matt here. Thank you for watching another full fat video. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit the bell so you know when a new video drops. If you'd like to get in touch with me, why not follow me on Twitter at fullfatvideos or on Instagram at full_fat_videos. A big personal thank you to our full fat tier patrons, Dr. Chike, Jax Merrick and Cyrus Solker. Your ongoing support keeps the lights on. Until next time, keep it full fat.